Now, I want to talk about a typical day in May of 2016 when you were living in Mall Drive. Would you have been living in that same townhouse that you just described for us?
Yes.
And who all lived with you back then?
It was only me and my daughter.
And back in May of 2016, how old would your daughter have been? Roughly.
She would have been she would have been like six going on 7 because it was her birthday month.
When is her birthday?
May 21st.
Giselle, why are you crying?
Because I hate I have to talk about this. I hate I have to be here and I hate I have to talk about this. And I thought it was something once it was done I'd never have to talk about it again. And every time I talk about it, it just doesn't ever feel like it's real.
I understand. You need to take a break yourself?
No.
Now, your daughter was 6, and you described it a little earlier. Would you ever get to pick her up from school any day?
No, because like I said, I worked in the office, so incident that occurred, it was just one day that I was able to actually get off work early and get the opportunity to pick her up from school and bring her home.
Let's talk about that day, May 11, 2016. Can you tell me how that day started?
It started with me going to work. I usually drop my daughter off at school every single morning. And then once I drop off at school, or if I have to be at work a little earlier, I drop off at a grandma's house. But this particular day, I was able to drop her off at school and then go directly to work.
And what car did you have back then?
I had a Toyota Corolla.
What color was it?
It was black.
Was it 2 or 4 doors?
It was 4-door.
When did you get that car?
I can't even recall when I actually got the car, but it was the first car I was able to get for myself on my own. But I can't recall when I actually bought the car.
That makes sense. So you take your daughter to school in your Toyota Corolla. Around what time did you have to drop her off?
It usually would be about 7:30 in the morning.
And obviously May 11th, it's almost summertime, but is she still in school on that day?
Yes.
And after you dropped her off at school, what did you do? Did you go to work? Or what did you do?
I would go to work.
And how far was where you worked from her school?
Like I said, with the traffic, it'd be like an hour and a half. My goal would always try to get there no later than 9 o'clock.
And when you first headed to work that day, what was the plan in your mind for picking her up later that day?
I was going to work a full day. The plan was just like how it normally was. I was just going to pick her up either from her grandmother or her grandmother would drop off at the house depending on traffic.
Now, you went into work working on planning a full day.
Mm-hmm.
What day did you end up working that day?
I actually was able to work a shorter day that day. So my job was like, hey, you can go ahead and go home and work your last few hours at the house. And I was like, okay, perfect.
Was that a pleasant surprise?
Yes.
And when you got released early, did you go and pick up your daughter?
Yes.
Do you know roughly around what time you would have picked her up?
It would have been about 2:30 around that time.
And after you picked her up, would she have been sitting in the front seat, back seat? Where would she sit?
In the back seat.
And did y'all go straight home or where'd you go?
Straight home.
Do you know around what time you got home?
It had to be about 2:30, 2:45 because the school is literally right around the corner from the house. So it's not far at all.
Was it daylight?
Yes, it was day.
Was it raining or anything that
No, it was sunny day.
Now, in At a mall drive, do you have assigned parking spots? You can park anywhere.
You have assigned spots.
And I'm going to show you I'm going to publish what's already been admitted as 8 Victor. Ms. Hill, do you recognize or see your assigned parking spot in 8 Victor?
Yes, it's spot 7.
Spot 7. And what door was yours in this picture?
It's the door straight ahead, not to the left, but on the right.
Straight behind spot 7?
Yes.
And now, so Ms. Hill, everyone's a little different. Do you back in or do you pull in front? Like, did you back in your spot or pull in?
I pulled in.
Pull in? Okay.
It's time for news about the news. Sling TV has the same news programming you love, starting at $40 a month. It's the same.
Would you have had to help your daughter get out of the car?
No. She would have got out. She got out herself. She always got out herself. And she goes to the front door when she gets out the car and waits for me until I get out the car, getting my stuff.
Okay, she gets out first and goes to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
And so you pull into your spot 7, park. What is the first thing that you noticed, or did you notice anything on
No. I was just grabbing my stuff out the car. I had my purse that I was getting out of the car. My laptop was in the back. So I hadn't got the opportunity to grab that yet. But I had grabbed my purse. And I was getting out of the car to get ready to go open the door because she was already standing at the door.
Ms. Hill, what was that, your personal or work laptop?
This is my work laptop.
And what all did you have in your purse that day?
What I shouldn't have had: my social security card, driver's license, my cell phone, of course my wallet that had all my debit cards and stuff in it. My insurance cards, everything that you normally would carry in your purse.
And what kind of purse did you have back then?
It was the first little name brand purse I ever had. It was a brown Michael Kors purse.
All right. You get out, you have your purse, and then what did you notice first after you get out with your items? What did you see next?
I just remember this kid walking up to me, and he had a gun to my head. And I did notice my daughter crouched down behind the bush that was in front of the house. I don't know if it's still there. And I just remember him saying, "Give me your keys." So I gave him my keys. And then after he took my keys, he got into my car from the passenger side and crawled over into the driver's side. And then another gentleman in the car, because the car that he pulled up in that was behind me, it had 4 individuals initially with the young man who got out. But then another older gentleman got out the car with a gun to my head, and he asked for my purse because the kid didn't initially ask for my purse. He only had asked for the keys. So the second gentleman who got out the car with a gun asked for my purse because it was over my body.
Now, Ms. Hill, I want to unpack some of that. What car did the suspect get out of?
I just know it was a gold car. It was like I couldn't tell you the actual car. I just know it was a gold, older, like a old person car, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. When you first saw him, was he already outside of the car or was he inside of it?
No, he was already outside of the car. He was walking up to me.
And how quickly was he approaching you?
I wasn't counting the seconds. It was so fast. I wasn't counting.
When did you first see his gun?
He was walking up to me with the gun to my.
What kind of gun was it?
I can't tell you the type of gun it was.
Was it a handgun, a shotgun, a long gun?
It was a handgun.
Did you see any color of the gun?
It was black.
And how close did he, when he pulled the gun, how close did he put it?
He was right up on me. with the gun.
And what was it that he said?
Give me your keys.
And what was your initial reaction when all this happened?
I just remember I had urinated on myself, and I remember I just handed him the keys, and I remember saying, well, can I at least get my house key? Because, I mean, there was no way for me to even be able to get in the house. I was just standing there. That was the initial reaction. And I literally was like in shock because I couldn't believe that was happening. It just didn't seem real.
Did he have any reaction when you asked him that?
No.
Now, Miss Hill, do you wear glasses or contacts?
I wear contacts.
And were you wearing glasses or contacts that day?
I was wearing my contacts.
And was the suspect who approached you and robbed you, was he wearing a mask?
No.
Was he wearing any type of hood or hat on his head?
No.
Was there anything covering up his face?
No.
Did he do anything to conceal his identity?
No.
And how would you describe him? Was he young, old? What did he look like?
He was a young kid. He was really young.
What was his race and what was he wearing?
He was black. I can't remember what he was wearing. He was just a black young kid, but I know exactly who he was.
You had mentioned earlier there was a second individual who got out. Was that second individual older or younger than the first driver?
He was older guy.
And when did you, can you describe what this second individual did when you first saw him?
The second individual, because he was coming up after the younger individual got in the car, he just asked me for my purse when he came up to me, because I guess he saw that the younger individual didn't take my purse as well along with the car. So he just made sure to get my purse.
And did he have a gun on him as well?
Yes.
And what was he doing with the gun?
Well, he had the gun to my head as well.
And was it a handgun, shotgun, or long gun, or what type of gun?
It was a handgun.
And what, after you gave, so what was it again that this second suspect asked you?
For my purse.
And did you bring your purse?
Yes.
What did he do after he grabbed your purse?
He left and got in the car that they initially all came in.
And was this second individual, was he wearing a mask?
No.
Was he wearing anything to conceal his face?
No.
Now, after they take these items, where did these cars go? I'm going to publish, Your Honor, State's Exhibit 7, Victor. All right. So this may help. I'm going to publish a photograph.
Okay.
So in this, you can use the cars that are parked here. Where would your car have been in relation to these?
My car would have been in spot 7 in front of the door I initially pointed out in the photo. And the cars were in this direction, so they were going this way. So they exited out to the left because you could curve around and go back out to the main road that way.
That makes sense. So they were going from, you tell me, were they not going from blue Mercedes to white BMW to that gray car on the end?
Yeah, they were going from the blue Mercedes to the BMW that's on the end, and they left out that way.
I'm going to publish also, publishing what's already been admitted as 8 Victor. Or excuse me, 6 Victor. Is this what you were describing, Ms. Hill?
Yes.
And where does this road, if you were to take this to the end and go left, what does that take you out on?
It takes you back out onto, it's still the neighborhood, so it takes you back out to that road, but when you make a right, it takes you back out to the main road.
And did those two vehicles leave together?
Yeah.
So after they leave, were there any neighbors you saw outside?
Yes.
And was this the neighbor that you had referenced earlier today?
Yes, because her son watched that's kind of the same, well, that's close in age to my daughter. When the incident happened, he was watching the entire time. the incident take place.
So your neighbor and her son, you're saying, were outside as well?
Yes, so I didn't realize they were outside because when the incident happened, they were behind me in a different in the parking spot behind me. And so her son, because like we said, it was a school day. So her son, I'm guessing she had just picked her son up from school. He was standing watching what was happening while his mom was in the car. I didn't see what the mom was doing, but she wasn't looking in the direction of the incident that was taking place. But he was standing there watching the kid, what was happening.
And was your phone, did you have your phone on you after this?
Well, he took my phone, it was in my purse, so
Were you able to call 911?
I had to use my neighbor's phone.
And did you in fact use your phone to call 911?
Yes.
And how long, did anyone respond? Did any police come out?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes.
What
Yes.
agency responded? Was it?
APD?
And how long after you called did they come?
I feel like it was quick enough. I couldn't tell you the time, the amount of minutes, like it was.
Arrived. What did they do once officers came out there?
They came out, they took my statement to see what happened. I know that they were asking me my license plate number, which I was so in shock, I couldn't remember anything really. I know that they were asking me my license plate number, and my significant other at the time, he had a spare key to the house. So I had to call him because he was working right up the street. And when he came to open the door, we were able to find like an oil change paper that had my license plate number on it. So we were able to give that information to give to the police officer so they could try to find my car.
And back then, after you gave them the description of the car, did the officer you were talking with, did he stay with you on scene?
Yes.
Did you ever learn if anyone was apprehended?
Yes.
Was that officer still with you?
Yes.
What happened after, can you kind of describe that, how you learned that?
I just remember saying they found my car and they wanted me to come with them to where the car was. And when I got there, that's when I saw the young individual who had pulled the gun on me first. So,
How did you get over there to the scene where he was arrested?
in the police car.
And where was your daughter during this time?
She was at the house with my significant other at the time.
And when you got over there, what did you see when they took you to where the individual was arrested?
I saw that my car was completely totaled. It had spun off the road and hit a tree. And I saw the gentleman who had the gun, the young kid.
Was this the first robber or second?
The first.
Can you describe when you identified him, were you inside or outside of the patrol car?
I was outside.
And where was he?
He was outside because he was in cuffs.
And when you saw him, how confident were you that that was the same individual who robbed?
I was 100% confident it was him.
Ms. Hill, I'm going to publish what's already been admitted as 32 Victor First, and ask you if you recognize this photograph. Who is that, Ms. Hill?
That is Christian Eppinger.
And is that the individual who robbed you this day?
Yes.
You had also mentioned, Ms. Hill, seeing your car. So I'm going to approach and hand you what's been marked as 12 through 17 Victor. If any defense counsels want to see these, it's 12 through 17 Victor. Ms. Hill, please take a look at those, and when you're done, just look up at me.
Okay.
What are those, Ms. Hill?
Those are pictures of my car.
And how do you recognize it?
How do I recognize the car?
Yes. I know it's a silly question, but I have to ask.
Because it's my car. I mean,
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of your car that was on scene that day after it was wrecked?
yes.
Your Honor, the state moves to tender and evidence, states exhibits 12 through 17, Victor.
Any objection to states 12 through 17, Victor?
No objection.
All right, they're admitted, may be published as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. Publishing 12, Victor. So, Ms. Hill, is that your Toyota Corolla?
Yes.
And the way that bumper is on the front, was it in that condition before you arrived?
No, not at all. And even the contents in the car weren't even like that.
I'm gonna publish 13, Victor. Is that your vehicle back then, Ms. Hill?
Mm-hmm.
What are all, I see a lot of pink items, what are all those?
Some of those items we would give to like Goodwill, but they were in bags, so it just looks like they went through the bags and stuff that were in my trunk. Because normally, once a month we go to Goodwill and just drop off any items that we just didn't want anymore. So that's what those items were in the bag.
And I'm gonna publish also 14, Victor. When they took your car at gunpoint, did the passenger seat look like this as depicted in 14, Victor?
No, not at all.
I'm also gonna publish 15, Victor. Is that your backseat, Ms. Hill?
Yes.
And I'm gonna publish 16, Victor. Did your car have that damage before it was taken from you?
No.
I'm also gonna publish 17, Victor. Is that the way that your car looked when you got out there on scene?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Hill, did you ever get to drive that car again?
No.
What happened to that car?
It was taken away. The insurance company probably kept it, or I'm not sure what happened after that, but I couldn't drive it anymore.
And the items that were, did you ever get your laptop back?
Yes, I was able to retrieve the laptop, but the company had to, because they weren't able to get into it since it was a company laptop. But the company definitely had to disregard the laptop overall just because of, they didn't know, if they were able to get into it or whatnot. So,
And did you ever get back your purse and the items inside of it?
no.
Now, after all this took place, Ms. Hill, did you ever have any contact with the district attorney's office?
Yes, they kept me informed with what was going on with the case.
Did you ever provide input on what you would like to see happen with the case?
Yes.
And did you ever, were you present when the suspect pled guilty to that offense? Did you?
Yes.
What did you say when you went to court that day?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Mr. Adams? Sir, I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Yes, Your Honor. Was it the end of the photograph you had, I showed you earlier, 18 Victor or Christian Eppinger, was that the individual that was in court that day when you were there?
Yes.
And after that day in court, did you ever see or hear about him again?
Yes.
How did you hear about him again?
I'm going to object to the hearsay, Your Honor.
Can we approach for a
Yes,
second,
Your Honor.
please?
You said that you knew exactly who it was. How did you know that exactly the individual that they had arrested was the person who robbed you at gunpoint?
Because I saw him when he robbed me at gunpoint.
And what is the main road that they had went out to after they left your mall drive?
I can't think of the actual main road at the time. I just can't think of it.
What were you ever able to observe or see your neighbor's son's reaction when this robbery happened?
Yes.
What was that reaction?
I'm gonna object as the relevance in your state.
So we had two objections. One was from Mr. Adams, the second was from Mr. Matthews. I'm going to sustain the objection.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hill, you kept referring to the first gunman as a kid. Why did you refer to him like that?
He was young. I mean, you could tell he was a kid.
And did the second individual, did he seem a little bit, a lot? How much older did he appear to be from your personal observation?
From my observation, he was in his late 20s, early 30s, the second individual.
How is your daughter doing this present day?
She's doing great, but she does remember everything that happened, but she's doing just fine.
Ms. Hill, after this happened on May 11, 2016, how much longer did you live at 245 Mall Drive?
I left that day. The day the incident happened, I moved that day
Why did you move, Ms. Hill?
because I just no longer felt safe in that neighborhood. Not only that, with them having all the contents of my information in that purse, I didn't know if they'd come back or, I just didn't feel safe any longer there for me or for my daughter.
Understand. Thank you, Ms. Hill. One brief moment, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. No further questions about the state. Thanks, counsel. May have some questions.
Thank you. So good morning, man.
Good morning.
My name is Keith Adams. And you and I have not met before, is that right?
That's correct.
You did have a chance, though, to speak to Brian Steele, gentleman who's sitting back there a little early this morning. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
All right. You talked with him, and then he asked you a few questions about the incident that occurred. By this time, it's about, 6.5, 7 years ago in 2016, right?
Yes.
All right. So I just have really just a couple questions.
Okay.
You would agree with me. This was a pretty terrifying incident that occurred on that day. Is that right?
Yes.
In fact, you called the police right when it happened.
Yes.
Right? You were terrified both for yourself and for your daughter.
Yes.
It would be fair to say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that obviously you wanted Christian Eppinger to be caught for what he had done. Right?
Yes.
You didn't know him before that day, right?
That's
You
correct.
never met him.
That's
As
correct.
far as you know, he never met you. He certainly, Mr. Eppinger, had no reason in your mind to do what he did to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
It was about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes or so after the incident that he was caught in your vehicle. Am I right about that?
Like I said, I wasn't sure the time. I wasn't calculating the time frame of.
It wasn't long.
Yeah, it didn't take too long.
And the police actually responded pretty quickly when 911 was called, right?
Yes.
They came, and you were in fact able to give them a description of this individual. Look, the person you keep referring to as a kid, right?
At the time, yes.
Right, and also somewhat of a description of the other guy who got out of the car as well.
Yes.
Now, Christian Eppinger, or the person you would later come to know as Christian Eppinger, walks up to you. He's got a gun, and he puts the gun to you, correct?
Yes.
The other guy did the same thing as well.
Yes.
Your car pulls off, and it's sometime after that, after you've spoken to the police, that you are taken to the location where your car, as you see, has been crashed or has been is off-road against a tree somewhere.
Correct.
In the pictures that we've seen.
Yes.
Christian Eppinger is outside of the car, right?
Yes.
He has obviously been arrested and caught by the police,
Yes.
and you recognized him right away.
Right away.
You recognized him because his face was, I mean, he was a kid, you recognized his size, you recognized what he looked like.
Yes.
All right. The other person who had gotten out of the car early with the gun, you didn't see that person. He wasn't caught.
That person wasn't caught.
Okay. But if I'm correct, you actually saw that person. You would have actually recognized that person again.
I would.
Okay. All right. You are, I'm going to presume, someone who is attentive to detail and
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Eppinger ultimately came to court on that case.
Yes, he did.
You came to court as well.
Yes.
You were present when he was convicted of that crime that he committed, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, that was back in, the incident happened in 2016, and it was sometime after that after he was caught, after he came to court, and he was in fact held accountable for what he did to you.
That's correct.
All right. Now, I want to talk to you about today. You are here today in 2024, and you are testifying to this jury about what you remember from that day, correct?
Correct.
And then you have testified to the best of your recollection. You remember it pretty well.
Yes.
Now, I've asked you already whether you spoke to Mr. Steele.
Yeah.
Ms. Steele and I work together, and we represent Jeffrey Williams. You know that.
Okay.
Okay. And then do you know Jeffrey Williams?
I don't know him personally, no.
But you know who he is.
But yes.
You know that he is an entertainer.
Objection, Your Honor.
This is
Relevant.
a standing objection.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get right to the point.
Okay.
Jeffrey Williams was not at your car holding a gun to you on the day this incident occurred, correct?
That's correct.
You have no reason to tell this jury, no personal knowledge that Jeffrey Williams was in any form or fashion involved with your carjacking on that day, true?
That's correct.
Ms. Hill, that's all I have for you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Hill, good morning.
Good morning.
Carrington Matthews here. I represent Mr. Huey sitting right over here. You've had an opportunity to look about the courtroom over here, all the people that are sitting in this courtroom. In fact, Mr. Eppinger, you don't see him in this courtroom, right?
No. Yes.
And you don't see that older gentleman that you described as the second person that put this gun to you, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, none of these individuals that are seated in this courtroom, to the best of your knowledge, had anything to do with what happened to you back in 2016. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And at the time that you went through that particular ordeal, I think you indicated that when you became emotional and you began to cry, you didn't think that you would have to go back through having to rethink or relive this, correct?
That's correct.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hill, on cross-examination, we're asked about the other guys that were involved. How many people did you see in total that were involved when you robbed?
In total, including Christian Eppinger, it was 4 individuals.
And did any of those other 2 that didn't get out of the car, did they do anything to conceal their identity that you saw?
They didn't do anything.
And you were asked on cross-examination about Christian Eppinger being held accountable. Do you remember that?
I do.
Did you advocate for a lesser sentence in reference?
I did.
I'm going to ask the approach, please.
I'm the standing objection.
No need to approach.
Ms. Hill, thank you very much. No further questions.
Okay, thank you.
No, sir.
All right, and Ms. Hill, be permanently temporary excused, please.
She may be permanently excused, Your Honor.
All right, so I'm going to permanently excuse you, witness. We appreciate your
Patience with us. Just don't discuss your testimony with anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay?
Okay,
All right, thank you, madam. Be well.
thank you.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take 5 minutes and we'll go ahead and continue on at that point in time, okay? So we'll be in recess for about 5 minutes. All right, all rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Our jury has left us. Okay. State, who's our next witness?
Investigator Marco.
I'm sorry? To have made them. Is there anything else I need to?
Hey there, I'm Jesse Weber, and thanks for watching the Young Thug trial here at Law and Crime, where we bring you live coverage of high-profile trials and individuals accused of committing some pretty terrible crimes. I'll tell you one thing, it's a stark reminder that the world isn't always the safest place. Well, that is why I want to shine a light on this week's trial coverage sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. When you're injured, figuring out what to do next can be pretty overwhelming. That's where Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, comes in. A whopping 3 million people turn to them every year. And their process is a game changer. Picture this. You submit your claim, you sign contracts, you upload documents, you communicate with your whole legal team, all from your phone. It's that simple. And what's even more impressive, an attorney reviews your case in just 8 clicks. That speed is remarkable. You submit a claim, they start fighting for you. And if you're concerned about costs, well, you only pay them if you win. There's no upfront fee. So if you're ever injured in an accident or at work, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less by visiting forthepeople.com/youngthug. High-speed chases.
We got a ticket.
Unruly suspects.
I will kill that mother.
Tase me?
No.
Do it.
Stay in the blue box.
I like it kinky.
Dramatic DUIs.
I'ma pass everything that she's trying to do.
And shocking body cam footage.
Hey! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Law and Crime presents Body Cam, the place for real, raw, and wild police videos.
You should have seen it. It was good. It's on body camera. I'll show it to you.
Catch the action and subscribe to our new YouTube channel now.
You got a notepad up there, I'm sticking up.
Well, I'm sorry, Richie?
Yeah.
What's that?
I need to do one person.
Okay.
We fix that. I just need something out for JCZ on social media.
Just one sheet or?
Yeah, just one sheet.
One of our viewers had an incident. Yeah, Godfather.
Yeah.
Just tell her kids.
Yes, same person.
Those happen in threes, so they really do.
Same person.
Just tell her to keep us posted on that.
Okay.
All right, let me know when they're ready. We can go ahead and come back.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Your Honor, Your Honor,
Hold on, okay.
Your Honor, may I address the court before the juries?
Can I wait for all the people to get in, please? Okay, all right.
Blackout copy, baby. Blackout copy.
All right, Judge, everybody back.
All right, Ms. Westmoreland, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Your Honor. Two brief things. One is that after our last witness, Ms. Hill, testified, while on break, it was brought to our attention, our meaning defense counsel, that the media was instructed by the state to not show the identity of the witness, to not show the witness while she was testifying. The state did not make that request, or should I say instruction. They did not tell defense counsel. Just last Friday, Your Honor, we brought to the court's attention that the state and the media were having conversations without defense counsel in reference to who would be shown and who wouldn't. And you instructed us to confer with the state on that Friday, which we did. And it was our good faith belief and understanding that before, if the state objected to the identity of anyone or anyone being shown, that they would include defense counsel in on that conversation, and we would have the opportunity to object. That did not happen today. A public trial is our client's, it's the defendant's right. And Your Honor, I believe that you agree with that on Friday, and we wanted to bring it to the court's attention.
All right. I want to say, Ms. Westmoreland, thank you, are we still having why do we still, and also I need to be made aware that you don't need to have, you need to tell me what you're all going to do, okay?
Your Honor, I believe I provided to the court this morning, as well as to each defense counsel, this list right here that had.
That may be one thing, but I need to know so I can put on the record.
But this is what we've been handing out, Your Honor, I didn't know, but this is the list that we provided to defense counsel this morning that has 3 individuals highlighted, which are the 3 individuals.
I don't have it. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't have any such document. And if you
I
did,
handed it to Ms. Weaver earlier. I thought my apologies, I handed it and I thought that it was handed to you. And we do have an additional copy, Your Honor, but this is the practice that we have been doing for the last few weeks, in which the individuals who are highlighted are the individuals that we have asked not to be shown.
Okay,
In addition to that,
you need to tell me, so it's put on the record.
Yes.
Ms. Weaver has another very important job that she's doing right now, but I need to know so that I can go ahead and put that on record.
and I also emailed this to defense counsel yesterday.
That doesn't.
I understand about the
That does
court,
not
but-
include me. And I'm ultimately, at the end of the day, Ms. Hilton, I'm the person that makes the call. So I appreciate everything that you have done in terms of that, but please loop the court in, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Your Honor, the state thought the court was looped in, but we will make sure that the court is definitely looped in.
All right, okay, all right. So I'm not gonna have this conversation again about not being informed, all right?
And in addition to what was discussed on Friday, Your Honor, we did meet with defense counsel on Friday along with counsel for at least one of the media outlets, Ms. Gaither. We are still working on amendments to the order. And because that has not been completed, we continue in the same path that we were doing from last week. But we have spoken with them. We've spoken with defense counsel in addition to the media counsel, and like I said, we forwarded this yesterday evening, that if there was any objection, we thought that we would have been made aware of that earlier today. And I provided this list this morning again to defense counsel. And this is the first time we're hearing of the objection, Your Honor.
Okay, so is there anything that's changed, because the court was made aware as to why this particular witness, Detective Belknap, was being asked to be not filmed? Has anything changed or anything else I need to know about?
There's nothing changed from the first time in which you've asked for Investigative Belknap not to be filmed.
Okay.
He works in a certain capacity at APD, and given what occurred the first time he testified, is why we're continuing to ask for him.
All right. Anything else, madam?
Yes, Your Honor, the handout that we received from the state that has nothing on it that indicates that the names highlighted means that they request for.
Okay, let's focus on Detective Belknap. Do you have any further objection to Detective Belknap?
Yes, we do.
What's your objection?
That he's already testified and he's already been filmed.
No, he hasn't. He wasn't filmed last time.
He was filmed
Yeah.
initially,
He filmed initially, but we,
but that's when we ended up having to stop because of what happened.
okay,
I do not believe he was filmed the second half of his testimony. I would need to go back and double check.
all right.
Okay, Your Honor, that's our objection, that he's already been filmed.
I'm sorry.
I said that's our objection, is that he's already been
I'm gonna
filmed.
overrule that. I'll allow him to not be filmed, and we'll take up each witness as it comes along, okay?
Your Honor, one more thing. Mr. Steele made some objections in reference to Detective Belknap this morning. And Your Honor, you said that he could have a continuing objection and everyone who made objections can have continuing objections.
I'm gonna, unless you exempt out, I'm gonna go ahead and just make it a blanket one for everyone,
Thank you, Your Honor.
okay? Is that it? Okay, all right. Can we summon Detective Belknap, please, and go, just go ahead and put him in the, no, wait one. Summon our jurors, please. Okay. Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Senator. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, before we call our next witness, for your consideration, I need to read you an admonition, okay? So then we'll call the witness. You are about to hear testimony from Investigator Mark Belknap, who will testify both to facts and two types of opinions and the reasons for those opinions. I will describe all three types of testimony. The first is fact testimony. Fact testimony is based on what the witness personally saw, heard, or did. The second is opinion testimony based on the specialized knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education of the witness. The third is what is called lay opinion testimony. As to the testimony about facts, it is your job to decide which testimony to believe and which testimony not to believe. You may believe everything a witness says, or part of it, or none of it. As to the opinion testimony based on the witness's specialized knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education, you should judge this testimony like any other testimony. You may accept all of it, part of it, or none of it. You should give it as much weight as you think it deserves, considering the witness's knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education, the reasons given for the opinion, and all the other evidence in the case. As to lay opinion testimony, this testimony is based on inferences drawn from the witness's direct perceptions and must be rationally based on those perceptions and not on any speculation or what someone else has said. You should judge this testimony like any other testimony. You may accept all of it, part of it, or none of it. You should give it as much weight it deserves. When considering lay opinion testimony, however, you should not give it any extra credence based on the specialized knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education of this witness. You may also consider to personal observations or involvement as a fact witness testifying about a lay opinion based on the witness's perceptions or testimony based on specialized knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education. When a witness provides opinion testimony based on knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education, might rely on facts that are not based on his or her personal observations or involvement, but that opinion cannot serve as proof of the underlying facts. The fact that a witness is allowed to express opinions based on that person's specialized knowledge, skill, experience, training, or education should not cause you to give that witness undue deference for any aspect of that person's testimony, or otherwise influence your assessment of the credibility of that witness. Call your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Investigator Mark Belknap.
All right, summon Investigator Belknap, please. Yeah. Investigator Belknap, good morning, sir. Sir, if you would please approach your witness stand. Once you get there, if you would turn and face our name and be sworn as a witness before you sit down, sir.
Raise your right hand. You swear affirm the testimony you give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I see. First, last name, of course.
It's Mark Belknap, MARKBELKNAP.
And welcome back, Investigator Belknap. Just for my where you're employed,
The Atlanta Police Department.
and with what unit do you work with the Atlanta Police Department?
I'm assigned to our gang unit.
And just again, how long have you been with the Atlanta Police Department?
I've been with the Atlanta Police Department for 18 years,
And how long have you been in the gang unit?
for 15 years.
And when you were here in November, you gave some overview of gangs and gang culture, correct?
I did.
Now that you're back, we're going to break this up in two sections, all right? We're going to have phase one, and then we'll have phase two, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so starting out with phase one, I want to ask you specifically about an individual by the name of Christian Eppinger. Are you familiar with an individual named Christian Eppinger?
I am.
How are you familiar with Christian Eppinger?
From various criminal investigations.
And when did you first learn about Mr. Eppinger?
I first learned about him in 2019.
And in 2019, when you first learned about Christian Eppinger, were you investigating Mr. Eppinger or someone else?
Someone else.
Right, who?
Quintavis Robinson.
And during that time, did you learn if Christian Eppinger had any social media accounts?
I did.
And what, if any, social media accounts did he have?
He had a Facebook account.
Okay. And how did you know that he had his Facebook account?
I observed it.
And what was his social media name on his Facebook account?
The account name was Christian.Eppinger.3, and the vanity name was YSL Briss.
And have you seen Facebook posts with the vanity name YSL Briss associated with Christian Eppinger?
I have.
And did those posts appear to contain images of the individual you knew to be Christian Eppinger?
They did.
And did those posts also contain other individuals that you know of who are affiliated or associated with the Young Slime Life or YSL gang?
They did.
And were those Facebook posts that you observed pulled from the Facebook account that you know as YSL Briss?
Yes, ma'am.
You want permission to approach?
You may have shown those to defense counsel already?
Yes, Your Honor. They've been provided these about a week ago, but I'll have a packet if anybody wants to relook at them.
All right.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1W through 18W and 59W. If you can take a moment and look at 1W through 18W and 59W. Sure. One whiskey through 18 whiskey and 59 whiskey. $50 is when I passed out single-handedly last week. You do have it. Yeah, my number. So I'll show you. Have you had an opportunity to look at those?
I have.
And do you recognize them?
I do.
How?
These are what appear to be accurate representations of posts I've seen posted to Mr. Eppinger's Facebook account.
Okay. And based upon what you account, are there any additions or deletions from these particular posts?
They are cropped, and so it looks in some instances that some of maybe the comments were cropped. But other than that, I don't see any apparent alterations.
Okay. Your Honor, this time the state would like to turn State's Exhibit 1W through 18W and 59W into evidence.
Any objection to states 1 whiskey through 18 whiskey and 59 whiskey? Other than already been posted, already been lodged, I should say? Okay, I'll admit them over objection, and the continuing objection will be noted, okay? You may be published as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, we want to start with 1W. And looking at State's Exhibit 1W, if you can tell the jurors, what are we looking at State's Exhibit 1W?
So this would be the top of the Facebook account, the profile picture, and the account name.
Okay. And is that the same account name that you just referenced, YSL Briss?
It is.
All right. Now, looking at State's Exhibit 2W, what is the date of State's Exhibit 2W? What's the date of the post of State's Exhibit 2W?
December 21st, 2014.
And what does it appear that we're looking at, Stacy Exhibit 2W?
There's a photograph of Christian Eppinger.
And is he doing anything with his hand?
He is.
And what is that?
He's making a hand sign.
Okay. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Looking at Stacy Exhibit 3W. What's the date of Stacy Exhibit 3W?
December 21st, 2014.
And what, if anything, is posted in Stacy Exhibit 3W?
It's also a picture of Mr. Eppinger.
And what is he doing?
He's posing with his feet and making a hand sign.
Okay, and we'll talk about that. And is there a comment on that page?
There is.
And what is that comment?
Well, there's both a caption along with it, and there's also a comment after it.
So let's start with the caption first.
It reads, Peter Will, my lifestyle, and I'm going to omit any racial epithets. We ends like 44, true peace of mind, hashtag long live 44 Billy.
Okay, and we'll talk about that, but you said truly peace of mind. Is there a C or an X there?
There is an X.
Okay. Now looking at Stacy Exhibit 4W. What's the date of Stacy Exhibit 4W?
It's December 30th, 2014.
All right, and is there a post?
There is.
Okay, first let me ask you, what's the caption?
It says, Lil Bruh shook with some laughing emojis.
All right, and if you could read the contents of what Mr. Eppinger posted, what it appeared that the person YSL Brisk posted.
It appears to be a screenshot of a text conversation.
Okay, and could you read the text conversation?
The first comment at the top says, hey, Lil Bruh. A reply says, huh? The next comment says, what you mean you ain't finna get killed? The reply is, slime kill people, and I don't want to fight nobody. The next says, hey man, you good little bruh, I ain't gonna do nothing to you, just watch what you say. The reply is, okay, what that was that boy name? And then, don't worry about it, just know that's my youngin'.
Okay, and with the third yellow comment, it has, again, do nothing to you, just, and you said watch, but is that C replaced with an X?
It is.
Right. Now looking at Stacy Exhibit 5W, what's the date of this post?
This is January 6th, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what does the caption say?
Keep it on me, waiting on a fuck in to try me.
All right. And is there an image?
There is.
Okay. And if you could describe for the jury the image.
It's a photograph of Mr. Eppinger, and it appears that there's a handgun in his waistband.
Now looking at Stacy Exhibit 6W. What is the date of this post?
January 10th of 2015.
And is there an image?
There is.
Okay. And what is posted in the image?
It's a picture of Mr. Eppinger, and with his left hand, he's forming what appears to be the letter C, and with his right hand, he's forming his hand in the shape of a pistol.
Okay, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Now looking at Stacy Exhibit 7W. Is there a date for this post?
There is.
And what's the date? I'm sorry.
It's April 22nd, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
What's the caption?
It says, good morning, slimes, hashtag RIP Buki.
Okay. And in your investigation, do you know who Buki is at all?
I don't recall.
Okay. And is there an image or posting of Mr. Eppinger as well?
There is.
And what is he doing with his hand?
Mr. Eppinger is posing with his feet and also making a hand sign.
All right. Looking at Stacy Exhibit 8W. What is the date of that post?
It's April 22nd, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what is the caption?
It says, who said they want smoke?
And is there an image as well?
There is.
And what appears to be in the image?
It's a person sitting in a car with, appears to be at least five handguns on his lap and within the waistband.
Okay. Looking at Stacy Exhibit 9W. What's the date of this post?
April 25th, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
What is the caption?
It says living life, bro. I'm happy. Hashtag ESPN.
And do you know, have you seen that hashtag ESPN before?
I have.
And have you seen that associated with individuals or members of YSL?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, when it's been associated with YSL, what does ESPN stand for?
It stands for Every Slime Play Nasty.
Looking at State's Exhibit 10W. What's the date of State's Exhibit 10W?
It's April 29th, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what's the caption?
It says, I'm done talking. Anybody want smoke?
And is there an image?
There is.
And what is in the image?
It's Mr. Eppinger pointing a handgun at the camera.
All right. Next, State's Exhibit 11W. What's the date of this post?
May 15th, 2015.
All right. And is there a caption?
There is.
And what's the caption?
It says Rising Slime, hashtag ESPN.
And is there an image?
There is.
And what is in that image?
It appears to be Mr. Eppinger sitting, and there's a red bandana tied to the belt loops on his pants.
Looking at State's Exhibit 12W. What's the date of 12W?
May 31st, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what is that caption?
It says, even on my worst day, I live like someone on their greatest. Hashtag ESPN.
And is there an image?
There is.
And what is contained in that image?
It's Mr. Eppinger, and he's wearing a red bandana on his head.
All right. Now looking at State's Exhibit 13W. What is the date of this exhibit?
It's June 27th, 2015.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what is the caption?
It says New Ink.
All right. And in looking at this caption, can you, looking at the picture, are you able to see what that new ink is?
I am.
Okay. And what is it?
He has a tattoo that says YSL, although similar to what we discussed before, looks like the S is replaced with a 5.
And in looking at the caption of New Ink, are there some emojis?
There are.
And what are the two emojis?
There's a snake emoji and a red heart emoji.
All right. And June 27, 2015, is that date before May of 2016?
It is.
Looking at State's Exhibit 14W, is there a caption?
There is.
And is there a date of this post?
There is.
What is the date of the post?
March 21st, 2016.
And is there an image of who appears to be Christian Eppinger?
There is.
All right. Looking at State's Exhibit 15W. What is the dates of State's Exhibit 15W?
April 13th, 2016.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what is the caption?
It says free UNFO bitch.
All right. And is there some emojis next to that?
There are.
And what are those emojis?
It's a police officer emoji, a gun emoji, and a 100 emoji.
And is there an image?
There is.
And do you know who that person is?
I do.
Who is that?
It's Quantavious Greer.
And do you know a nickname for that individual?
Unfunk.
All right. And do you know any relation of Mr. Greer? Is he related to anyone in this courtroom?
I believe he is.
Okay. And who is that?
Mr. Williams.
All right. Looking at State's Exhibit 16W. What's the date of 16W?
April 16th of 2016.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what is that caption?
It says Peter Will, my lifestyle, hashtag long live 44.
All right. And is that an image of Mr. Eppinger as well?
It is.
And then looking at 17W, what's the date of this post?
This is March 25th of 2020.
All right. And is that appears to be another image of Mr. Eppinger?
It is.
And what is he doing?
He's posing with his feet and throwing a hand sign.
All right. And I'm gonna next look at, this should be 59W. Looking at 59W, is that a post from the YSL Bruce page?
It is.
And what is the date of that post?
December 18th of 2014.
And is there a caption?
There is.
And what is the caption?
It says if you can't make it, take it.
All right. And again, you said if you can't make it, take it. Is that X replacing a C?
It is.
And do you see Mr. Eppinger in that post?
I do.
Okay. And which one's Mr. Eppinger?
He's the person on the left.
All right. And do you know who the other person is on the right?
I can't tell who that is.
Okay. And now looking at 18W. What's the date of 18W?
April 19th of 2020.
And do you see is there a post?
There is.
And who is this person in this post?
This is Jaquan Stevenson.
Okay. And is Jaquan Stevenson a member of YSL?
He was, yes.
All right. And did he have a nickname?
He did.
And what was his nickname?
Rudy.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with an individual by the name of Trontavious Stevens?
I am.
And how are you familiar with Trontavious Stevens?
Through police work over many years.
Okay. And was it over many years? How many years?
14 maybe.
Okay. And are you familiar with any nicknames of Mr. Stevens?
I am.
What are those nicknames?
He's gone by Tick and Slug.
And you said over 14 years. When was there a first encounter or gang intelligence encounter with Trontavious Stevens?
The first encounter that I am aware of was in.
Okay, I'll sustain the objection.
When was your first gang encounter with Trontavious Stevens?
In 2011.
Okay. And how did you become a part of that encounter?
Members of the United States Marshal Service Fugitive Task Force were making an arrest, and during that arrest, they encountered Trontavious Stevens, and I was advised of this encounter.
And during that encounter, were there any pictures taken of Mr. Stevens?
There were.
Okay. And what were the pictures that were taken?
There were photographs of him as well as his tattoos.
All right. And I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 9U. Looking at what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 9U, do you recognize State's Exhibit 9U?
I do.
How do you recognize State's Exhibit 9U?
It appears to be the same photograph that was taken in 2011.
Okay. And was that the tattoo that was there in 2011?
Yes, ma'am. And actually, I'm not sure that's the same photograph, but it is the same tattoo.
Okay. Taking you to 2012. Was there another gang intelligence encounter with Trontavious Stevens?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall what date that was in 2012?
That was June 22nd of 2012.
And were you involved in that encounter with Mr. Stevens?
I was.
How did you encounter him?
He had been arrested after a traffic stop in Zone 3, and myself and another detective were called to the scene to interview Mr. Stevens.
Okay. And did he speak with you when you went to go interview him?
He did.
And what type of questions did you ask of him?
Primarily asked him about his suspected gang affiliation.
Okay. And was he forthcoming with his affiliation with any gangs?
He was not.
Okay. And at that time, did you notice any tattoos on him?
I did.
What tattoos did you notice?
I noticed several. The first one I noticed was a tattoo on his throat that said BFL.
And did you ask him about that tattoo?
I did.
And what was the response that he gave you about the BFL tattoo?
We object to this. Cases. Hearsay confrontation. This is a 2012 interview with.
I'll sustain the objection.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Yes.
Your Honor, Mr. Stevens has testified. He was specifically asked about this encounter within his
I'm gonna
proper.
reverse myself, Mr. Harvey. I'm gonna overrule the objection, okay?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, could you ask the question again?
Sure. What response did he give you about the BFL tattoo?
He told me that it stood for Loyalty Bend First.
Loyalty.
Loyalty Bend First.
Now, when he told you that it meant loyalty bend first, were you able to find anything from Trontavious Stevens that contradicted that particular meaning that he gave you?
I did.
What did you find?
I saw a post to his Twitter account.
Okay. And when in conjunction with having this interview, did you find this post on his Twitter account?
I believe it was shortly after the encounter.
Okay, so back in 2012.
Correct.
All right. And you said it was on his Twitter account. What do you call his Twitter name was back in 2012?
It was, I believe the account name was Bloody Slug Slat. He had a vanity name of Slug 5 Much, I believe at that time also.
And you're on permission to approach? I'm showing you what I've already given to defense counsel is 19W. Showing you what's the mark of State's Exhibit 19W. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 19W?
I do.
And how do you recognize State's Exhibit 19W?
This is a screenshot of the Twitter post that I observed.
Okay. And is that the Twitter post that you're just referring to?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the Twitter post that you saw back in 2012 regarding what Mr. Stevens said that his tattoo actually represents?
Yes.
At this time, say like the tender State's Exhibit 19W into evidence.
Any objection to states 19W?
Your Honor, same objection, relevant, not here.
It'll be continued. I'll hold the objection and I'll make it continuing.
This is part of my continuing objection, and I have some new request for 105 instruction. This is, I think I've argued it very briefly, but this is.
If it's argued, I remember you arguing that before, Mr. Harvey. I'll note that and overrule it and make it continuing as well. Okay, all right. This court will admit states 19 and maybe call this as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, is this the post that you were referencing?
It is.
And if you can, is your screen on to the right of you?
No, it is not.
Okay. If you can see and if you need that stick, you can also use that stick. Just indicate where that BFL tattoo is.
Oh, so the BFL tattoo is across his throat.
And when you met with Mr. Stevens, from your observation of looking at that tattoo, could you tell if it was an older tattoo, a newer tattoo? What could you observe when you saw it back in 2020? Did you?
I'll sustain the objection.
Sure. When you met with him at that 2012 encounter, was it in person?
It was.
Okay. And have you seen tattoos that are just like freshly new tattoos before?
I have.
Okay. And so are you able to tell from your own eyes if something looks, if it was fresh or if it was an older tattoo?
I am.
Okay. And when you met with Mr. Stevens back in 2012, could you tell from your observation looking at his neck if that tattoo looked like it was a newer or an older tattoo?
It appeared to be a new tattoo.
And why did it appear to be a new tattoo?
It was still in the healing process and was peeling a little bit.
Okay. And looking at the post, what is the caption of the post, of that Twitter post?
The caption says "Blood for Life" #Blatt.
Okay. And was that different from what he actually told you when you met with him?
It is.
And what was the date that Mr. Stevens posted that on Twitter?
This was on June 14th of 2012.
And when did you said you met with him?
It was June 22nd of 2012.
Okay. Now, at that same 2012 encounter, did he have any other tattoos that he explained to you?
He did.
What was that?
He had one behind his right ear that said 75K over 18.
And I'm going to approach with what's been marked as States Exhibit 20W, which has been previously shown to defense counsel, but shown again. Looking at States Exhibit 20W, do you recognize States Exhibit 20W?
I do.
And how do you recognize States Exhibit 20W?
This is a photograph that I took in 2012.
Okay. And does that appear to be a fair, accurate depiction of the picture that you took in 2012?
It is.
And what is that the picture of?
It's a picture of the tattoo behind his ear, reading 75K with a division sign over 18.
Your Honor, this time the state like to turn States Exhibit 20W into evidence.
Any further objection to states 20W? All right, 20W is admitted, continue, or over objection, continuing objection, and may be published as you see fit.
All right, looking at States Exhibit 20W, if you could just indicate to the jury where that 75 over 18 tattoo is.
It's right in the center of the photograph behind his right ear.
And when you met with Mr. Stevens back in 2012, what did he tell you that the 75K over 18 tattoo represented?
He said that it meant that he had $75,000 when he was 18 years old.
Not that, was it that he was trying to get 75,000 or that he had it when he was 18 years old?
He said that he had it when he was 18 years old.
And to your knowledge, if you know in 2012, about how old was Mr. Stevens in 2012?
He was 19 years old.
Now, also during this time, were you ever able to observe any videos of Mr. Stevens representing his affiliation with the Blood Gang?
I was.
Where did you find those videos?
They were posted using the social media application SocialCam, and they were posted to his Twitter account.
And I've never heard of SocialCam, so what was SocialCam?
SocialCam was one of the early apps that allowed you to record video and actually post it to social media.
And have you had an opportunity to review those videos that you saw back in 2012?
I have.
Right. Permission to approach again?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 52W. Tell me if you recognize States Exhibit 52W.
I do.
And how do you recognize States Exhibit 52W?
This is a disc that's labeled with 2 videos, Belknap, and it's got my initials and a date.
And what was contained on those States Exhibit 52W?
These were 2 videos that I viewed from the SocialCam application.
All right. And when you reviewed it, did that appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the 2 videos that you observed back in 2012 and that you provided to the state?
They were.
Did it appear to have any additions or deletions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender States Exhibit 52W into evidence.
Any objection to states 52W?
Same objection, Your Honor. Yeah, Mr. Williams.
I will admit 52W over objection and make a continuing objection to all parties. And maybe publish as you see fit.
Your person's on the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
We're gonna publish that one later, it appears. We're having some technical difficulties. All right, looking at going to 2014. After 2012, did you have any other encounters with Mr. Stevens?
I did.
Okay, and when was that?
October 11th of 2014
And where did you encounter Mr. Stevens in October 11, 2014?
at 2915 Macon Drive.
And what happened during this encounter?
At that time, I and other members of the United States Marshal Service Fugitive Task Force were arresting Mr. Stevens for some outstanding arrest warrants.
Okay, and what were those arrest warrants for?
It was for an armed robbery.
Okay. And did you see or speak with Mr. Stevens?
I did.
And what if anything did you all speak with him about?
I photographed his tattoos again during this encounter, and I asked him about some tattoos I observed on him that I had not seen previously.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's already been admitted, State's Exhibit 4U. Looking at what's already been admitted, State's Exhibit 4U, do you recognize State's Exhibit 4U?
I do.
How do you recognize State's Exhibit 4U?
This is a hat that Mr. Stevens was wearing at the time of his arrest.
Okay. And does it have, what's the writing on the hat?
It says Bompton.
Okay. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. Also, now looking at Exhibit 15U. Do you recognize Exhibit 15U?
I do.
And how do you recognize Exhibit 15U?
It's a red bandana that Mr. Stevens had on his person during his arrest.
Okay. Now, looking at this bandana, to your knowledge, do you remember, was there any other writing on that bandana besides the normal general pattern that's on a red bandana?
There was not.
Rule, Your Honor.
I didn't understand.
I apologize. Best evidence rule for bandana. Never seen it.
I'll rule the objection.
Did you observe anything else written on that bandana?
I did not.
Okay. If you had noticed anything written on the
That's
bandana.
speculation. If you had.
Oh, okay. Did you take that picture?
I did.
All right. And in your experience, do you take anything of note when you take pictures? Do you take anything of note?
I do.
Okay. And based upon and you took these pictures?
I did.
I stand the objection.
Based on the picture you took, is that the only picture that you took of that bandana?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Was there anything in your encounter with Mr. Stevens on that day, October 11, 2014, that you observed that would indicate that either the bandana or that hat was merch or merchandise from a concert?
There was not.
Now, you talked earlier about wanting to notate any additional tattoos. Did he have any additional tattoos on his body that he did not have when you met with him in 2012?
He did.
Okay. And what were those additional tattoos that you saw?
There were quite a few new tattoos, but two that I took note of. One was on his hands, or across the back of both hands, and one was on his left side, on his rib cage.
Okay. And I'm going to show you what's already been admitted. First, it says Exhibit 2U. Looking at State's Exhibit 2U, do you recognize Exhibit 2U?
I do.
And how do you recognize Exhibit 2U?
This is a photograph that I took.
Okay. And was that one of the newer tattoos that you had saw on his body?
It is.
Okay. Now looking at State's Exhibit 3U. I'm looking at State's Exhibit 3U. Do you recognize Exhibit 3U?
I do.
How do you recognize Exhibit 3U?
That's another photograph that I took.
And what's it contained on that tattoo?
It says, "Can't fight fate."
Okay. And again, looking at that, you said can't fight fate, is the C replaced with a K?
It is.
All right. And looking at Stacy Exhibit 7U, do you recognize Stacy Exhibit 7U?
I do.
How do you recognize Stacy Exhibit 7U?
These are photographs of Mr. Stevens' tattoos.
Okay, and are those two separate photos?
They are.
In the one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then are those the additional photos that you took back in 2014?
These are not the photos that I took, but they are the tattoos that I observed.
Excuse me, thank you. And what are from this 7U picture, what are the two pictures, what are the tattoos that you observed back in 2014?
They read across the hands from right to left, Cleveland Ave and Rock Crew across the fingers.
And now I want to show you what's been admitted, Stacy Exhibit 8U and 8UB. Particularly looking at the tattoo with the snake. Did you see those tattoos back in 2014?
I did not.
Okay. Now, going back to Stacy Exhibit 2U. Does it appear that Mr. Stevens has on any beads around his neck?
He does.
During your encounter with him, did he make any notice or mention of those beads?
Yeah, the only thing he said about them was that when I asked him if I could take pictures of his tattoos, he said that was fine. He just did not want me to touch his beads. And he was very emphatic about that.
Now, during your interaction with Mr. Stevens back in 2012 or in 2014, did he admit any gang membership to you?
He did.
And what gang did he admit that he was a member of?
Yeah, he admitted that he was a member of Rock Crew.
Okay. And did he say he was a member of any other gang or associated with any other gang?
He did.
Overruled.
And what gang was that?
That was YSL.
And what did he tell you that YSL stood for?
I asked him about YSL meaning Young Slime Life. And
You may, sir. You may.
so I asked him about YSL meaning Young Slime Life, and he said that it had meant that, but that they had started saying that it stood for Young Successful Lifestyle once Mr. Williams had started achieving some fame.
Okay. And when did he give you that explanation? Was that in 2012 or 2014?
That was in 2014.
All right. Now, during the time as an investigator in the gang unit, have you heard of an individual by the name of Jeffrey Williams?
I have.
And are you aware of any nicknames that he goes by?
I am.
And what is that?
Young Thug.
And around what year did you first hear about Mr. Williams?
I believe in 2010.
Okay. And during that time, were you aware of Mr. Williams was a member of or associated with Rock Crew?
I was.
Okay. And what was your understanding if he was associated or a member of Rock Crew?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
What was your understanding if he was a member or associated with Rock Crew?
My understanding was that he was a member of Rock Crew.
What about the Blood, Sex, Money murder? Was he a member of or associated with the Blood, Sex, Money murder?
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
Basis.
We're switching dual purpose of the witness, it's violating 702 at this point, and we saw, we discussed last.
Okay, so, all right, I understand your objection. Is that it?
That is.
Okay, all right. Are you still within the purview of stage one?
Yes, I'm still on stage
Overruled.
one.
Overruled, sir.
Go ahead.
In 2010, no, I was not aware of him. I don't believe at the time being associated with sex money murder.
Okay. What about later on? About 2012, 2014?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what about Young Slime Life?
In 2010, I was not aware of him associating with Young Slime Life.
What about 2012, 2014?
By 2013, yes, 2013, I would have known that he was associated with YSL.
Okay. And during that time, did you learn if Mr. Williams had any social media accounts?
I did.
What social media accounts were you aware of?
He had a Twitter account and a kind of a blogger account.
And when we say a blogger account, what do you mean?
It was a little different than a social media account. It was more of a running blog.
Okay. And was that on a certain site?
It was.
What was that?
It was on Tumblr.
And for Twitter, did you know what his vanity name was?
I did.
What was that?
And that was Young Thug.
And was there any particular vanity name about the Tumblr kind of blogger site?
Yes, that was Young Thug World.
Okay. And on Mr. Williams' social media accounts, did you observe any kind of Twitter or tweets from his Twitter account?
I did.
Okay. And in the course of looking at his Twitter account, did you see Mr. Williams make any reference to either his affiliation with Rock Crew or his affiliation with the Blood, specifically SMM?
I did.
And did you see any reference to any YSL membership?
I did.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity to see and look at those tweets and pictures from the Twitter account associated with Young Thug?
I have.
And during the course of that review, did you see any pictures or anything that associated Mr. Williams with that Young Thug Twitter account?
I did.
I'm going to first show you what's been marked as Exhibit 21W through 41W. Look at 21W and 40W, which has been previously given to the Defense Counsel, and let me know if you recognize 21W through 40W. And I'm sorry, it should be 42W, I apologize.
Before we get started, or continue, I should say, might be best to break in from lunch at this point in time.
Sure.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and recess for lunch. The time is almost, say, 12:35. If you all could come back at 1:45, and then once all of you are assembled, we'll go ahead and we'll resume with our examination of our witness, okay? All right, so 1:45, remember my admonitions I've given you, okay? Enjoy your lunch. All rise. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Detective Belknap will go ahead and excuse you for lunch as well, sir. You come back at 1:45, please. Thank you, sir. I'll discuss testimony of anybody subject to in this case. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be in recess until 1:45, and we'll see you all back then. We'll get started. Okay? We're in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Wes, I'm coming up with you. Just give me, I think Dean's on his way out. I'm ready to get me, so.
Hey there, I'm Jesse Weber, and thanks for watching the Young Thug Trial here at Law and Crime, where we bring you live coverage of high-profile trials and individuals accused of committing some pretty terrible crimes. I'll tell you one thing, it's a stark reminder that the world isn't always the safest place. Well, that is why I want to shine a light on this week's trial coverage sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. When you're injured, figuring out what to do next can be pretty overwhelming. That's where Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, comes in. A whopping 3 million people turn to them every year. And their process is a game changer. Picture this. You submit your claim, you sign contracts, you upload documents, you communicate with your whole legal team, all from your phone. It's that simple. And what's even more impressive, an attorney reviews your case in just 8 clicks. That speed is remarkable. You submit a claim, they start fighting for you. And if you're concerned about costs, well, you only pay them if you win. There's no upfront fee. So if you're ever injured in an accident or at work, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less by visiting forthepeople.com/youngthug. High-speed chases.
We got a
Unruly suspects.
I will kill that mother.
Tase me?
No.
Do it.
Stay in the blue box.
I like it kinky.
Dramatic DUIs.
I'm a pass everything that she's trying to do.
And shocking body cam footage.
Hey, get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Law and Crime presents Body Cam, the place for real, raw, and wild police videos.
You should have seen it. It was good. It's on body camera. I'll show it to you.
Catch the action and subscribe to our new YouTube channel now.